Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Microprof Learning Network, where I am wearing a mask to remind me to tell you that this is something that is worthwhile. I think that is pretty widely accepted right now. Everybody says wearing a mask is a good thing. And, it's sort of like wearing a seatbelt. If you argue that a seatbelt is going to prevent every single accident, no, it will not. But it will. It does save lives. So that is a very important consideration. Today is the 30th of July, and my temperature is 97 and 36.1. It's a little bit warmer than usual, but my air conditioner broke down, so it's a little warm right now. A lot of good news today, a lot of good news this week, but we also need to be persistent, just like my face mask says. We need to be vigilant. We need to be very careful to make sure we keep in the right direction. This is not something that you say, oh, good, yeah, I drove for several miles and I didn't get in an accident. I could take my seatbelt off now. We need to complete the job. And even if it shows that it is working, and it is, we need to keep the seatbelt on for some good time now. First of all, let me share with you that this is something we have known for a long time, but I guess this is actually something that has kind of been studied a little bit, and that is household contacts breed infections. So if you are bringing home an infection to your parents, grandparents, that is a dangerous kind of a thing. There's just some tremendous difficulty going on right now in Florida, and even in Ohio. We have a large hospitalization rate right now, so there's that. Some of the other good news is that we are now starting some huge trials, some huge efficacy trials. Efficacy means effectiveness for vaccine, and we will know fairly soon whether these things work. And I'll also talk about in a second some primate studies that are involved with. Well, let me just talk about that right now. There was a study with some rhesus monkeys where they inoculated the animals with the vaccine strain, and then they were able to show protection. They were able to show not only that there was neutralizing antibodies that seemed to be dose dependent, and they were able to drive the virus away. Just one more piece of evidence that the vaccine is hopeful, not for sure, but hopeful. So we are very, very hopeful. I'm also very encouraged this week, Lorain County, or last week, Lorain County went down from red to orange. We are still at the same place, as well as last week, a whole lot of other places got red, and now we're seeing less red, more orange in Ohio. Again, I think I know why. Mask, social distancing is something that really works. So, we need to keep it up. We also need to keep up our regular health, and there's a lot of good reasons for doing that. Flu shots, more so the pneumonia than the flu, but the flu shots seem to correlate with a reduced risk for Alzheimer's disease. Now, we have no idea what the mechanism is for that or why that is, but nonetheless, that is something that has just come out from looking at a lot of data. All right. Here is some really good news. I'm going to leave you with a couple of thoughts of good news. And this is the United States. This is, you can see here from March all the way to July. And to like yesterday or so is when I took this picture. And you'll notice that we are, if we look all the way to the end towards July, look at where we are. We are peaking, and that's good. But the problem is, we've been here before. If you look back in, let's go back to, let's say, mid-April. We're about where we were in mid-April. We're about in the same place we were in mid-April. And look what happened. In mid-April, we, instead of continuing to drive down, 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 down. Like in other states where they've done it, New York, they have done it, New Jersey, Connecticut, they have been able to drive it down. We really plateaued, and then we had a second wave. And that's where we are right now. So we have to keep going. And we have to be ready for, well, I got a little bit more serious news here, and that is Spain. This is Spain, and Spain, they had their big event back in March. This is number of days. It's not actually the dates, but back in March, just like New York did, have a big outbreak. They drove it down quite low, and they are starting up again. But again, we know what to do. Until we have a vaccine, until we have a way of generating enough people to create a herd immunity, we need to do what we need to do. We need to put on masks. I also want to promise you that you will find I know we have an election coming up pretty soon, and you're going to find a lot of crazy ideas out there on the internet. I want you to just look for where there's evidence. Check things out. People are checking out, scoping out evidence. You have to be ready to be a good consumer. I hope one of the things you guys get out of these videos is that you become a good consumer of science and know when to recognize good science from bad science. I am not going to do a podcast next week, but I hope to return after that, and hopefully we won't have to do these very soon. But thank you for tuning in, and I want you all to remember to be good to each other, and may you persist like a lentivirus. Thank you, and have a good day.